right, so I'm going to give you a huge unlock here. Just check this out. This is really amazing stuff. This is T-Bone Walker, and just listen to how he's playing here. This is the coolest thing. Okay, so he's playing a slow blues, right? And he's using these different rhythmic patterns in such a fluid, cool way. And it just gives such a soulful feel to the music. See how he's changing the rhythms there? Oh, this is a masterclass, just this one little clip here. And this is like 10 years before Chuck Berry as well. He's, he was a huge influence on Chuck Berry, B.B. King, Stevie Ray Vaughan. In fact, Stevie Ray Vaughan's classic, signature lick is just that, it's just the T-Bone Walker lick sped up, right? So I'm going to show you exactly how to do this. So first of all, everyone from Robert Johnson to Stevie Ray Vaughan to Muddy Waters. I mean, even like Blind Lemon Jefferson was the guy who kind of mentored T-Bone Walker. And if you listen to his music, it's amazing the way he plays with rhythm, just like we would normally play with scales and notes. Like even, for example, Stevie Ray Vaughan talks about how the way that he learned was he would listen to players like T-Bone Walker and stuff, and he would learn to sing the lines, and then he would figure it out on the guitar. So he's really like internalizing those melodies and those rhythms. So I think a lot of these players, the way they would think about music is, obviously they would just be feeling it, but it was so ingrained with them, it was right in their fingertips. But beneath that, they would have a repertoire of licks, right? I love this little video here of Clapton talking about how he uses stock phrases.
When you're improvising, do you use stock phrases as the raw material? And if so, can you share some?
Yeah, there are phrases that I always play that are stock phrases that I work from, which are just like...
So Clapton would have these licks that were so ingrained in him that he could play them in any key, in any song, at any rhythm, right? And what that really is phrasing. So a great player has certain phrases, certain signature licks that they could use. And with these guys, it would be as detailed as in this kind of song, with this kind of chord progression, I'm going to use this particular lick. Like a great example of that is just... like the turnaround. So many ways of playing that, but it's a specific lick that goes over a specific part of the song. Okay, so let's break that down a little bit though. What is a phrase, right? If you think of it, a phrase is a combination of three different things. It's the note choice, the rhythm, and then the dynamics, how you actually kind of present it. So the note choice, to simplify that, it's basically scales. And one of the interesting things around the blues is just so much of it is just built around that. Just that basic pattern. The pentatonic scale or the blues scale, 95% of licks come from those two scales. And then, of course, the major pentatonic scale as well. Mixing those two together creates hybrid scales and Mixolydian scales and arpeggios, and you can kind of go on unpacking that theory. And so there's all kinds of things you can do, but so much of it is rooted in that kind of basic position. All the little quarter tone bends, the microtonal bends, the slides, all that stuff that kind of brings it to life. So you've got note choice, and then you've got rhythm. So this is a huge unlock, and this is what we're talking about. What I'm going to do is break down how a blues rhythm actually works, right? It's actually, people think blues is really simple, but it's not. It's actually one of the most complicated forms of music because of the rhythms. And, all these great players, everyone from Robert Johnson to Stevie Ray Vaughan to Muddy Waters, they are masters of changing and moving and being able to incorporate interesting syncopation and rhythm in their playing. So here's how it works on the screen. You can see basically this is based around the idea of a 12/8 blues. Even though blues is usually basically in 4/4 time, a lot of blues is actually in what's called 12/8. Even fast blues is actually the same thing, just kind of sped up, right? That's time signature 12/8 is what's called a compound time signature. And what that means is basically like two different rhythms going on at the same time. So one is you've got your basic 4/4 pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. And it's usually played with a shuffle, right? Where you've got this uneven kind of shuffle to it. But underneath that is a more complex rhythm of eighth notes where you have 3 eighth notes to each beat. So you end up with 12 eighth notes to each bar, and that's what makes it a 12/8 rhythm, is 12 eighth notes, and they're grouped in triplets. So you get this sound: 1 2 3, 2 2 3, 3 2 3, 4 2 3. So that's the underlying engine of the blues. So the first thing you want to be able to do as a blues player is move between a shuffle. Basically, what a shuffle is, if you look on the screen there, you're accenting the 1 and then the third of the triplet. So it gives you this sound. Now, interwoven into that is your basic triplet sound, right? So if you're playing just a basic blues, a good little exercise is just to go. So that's triplets, right? Triplet, triplet. Okay, so moving between the shuffle and the triplet for lead playing would sound like this. The shuffle would be like, and then the triplet would be. In a minute, I'm going to show you how to get into the faster stuff, which is sextuplets, which is where you get that real kind of flowing kind of blues sound. But first, let's get into something really mind-blowing, which is what people like T-Bone Walker are doing, and many blues players do. They're playing a straight rhythm over the top of the shuffle. And what that does, it gives you this kind of like laid-back sound, almost like you're just kind of lifting off the rhythm. You're basically playing 4 16th notes over the top of a triplet rhythm, so it's like 4 against 3. So it's complicated to count, and it's complicated to understand, but it's actually surprisingly easy to play because you've heard it so many times, just like in that leg. That idea there, say if we go into the key of G, play around there. You can hear it's a very familiar sound, and it just has that kind of laid back groove to it where you're kind of stretching the beat and playing around the rhythm, right? So it's actually easy to do. The easiest way to do it is put on a metronome and start by doing the triplets. So this would be like 75, 80 beats per minute on a metronome, and start by going triplet, 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 and then do 16th notes, 1 EM, 2 EM, 3 EM, 4, like that, and then try moving between the two, going from the triplet back and forth like that. And then once you sort of familiarize yourself with that sound, you can start to just play with it, just like T-Bone Walker and so many great blues players. It's just got a great sound. Like if you hear Clapton playing, he does that all the time. So here he is playing with Susan Tedeschi, and so you can see how he starts that beat straight, and then he goes into the rolling sextuplets. So he's moving effortlessly back and forth. So let me show you those sextuplets now. So just to kind of summarize, you've got the basic shuffle, which is just. You can also do straight eighth notes, 1 and 2 and. So it's harder to do that at slow tempos like this, but the way you'll hear straight eighth notes will just be stuff like, like for example, when you hear B.B. King play, you'll do stuff like going. So it sounds like you're kind of stretching the rhythm out like that. And then you've got triplets, then you've got straight 16th notes, then you've got sextuplets, which is where it gets into that rolling fast feel. So let me show you an easy way to understand sextuplets. They basically have this sound here. Okay, so it's that sound. So let me show you an easy way to think of sextuplets. What you're going to do is start by just playing the basic triplet, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, like that. And what you're going to do is play that with downstrokes and then play an upstroke in between each downstroke, right? So 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. I'm going to put an and in between each. So it's like that. So it's pretty fast, right? But here's some easy ways to do it. Like, for example, start with just a basic triplet lick. Like, here's an easy way to think of it. Just start with like a triplet, just like 3 notes, right? Triplet, triplet. Try playing this with your fingers first. You're just going to put a pedal tone, like a ringing out note on top of it in between each one. So if you go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. That's the sound of a sextuplet. So the way you count that is 1, 2, 3, 1 and 2 and 3, 1 and 2 and 3. So it's got that rolling sound. So that's a great sound. Now, where it starts to get really interesting, where you start to combine the straight eighth notes, the triplets, and the sextuplets, and move back and forth between those different kinds of sounds. So let me know if this is interesting to you. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. It's always great. I appreciate you guys watching it. And don't forget to check out our latest album. Rob and I are working on a new one at the moment, but we released Sounds of Tulsa, and that's here on YouTube, or you can watch it, or you can get it on Spotify as well. And I hope you have fun playing with all these interesting rhythms and syncopations. It's really like a huge unlock when you start to kind of play with this stuff. Particularly the straight, playing straight over a shuffle is really, really fun. But remember, the most important thing, turn it up.